champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here!
The Backyard Brawl, though. West Virginia versus Pitt. You know, I knew that these two teams used to play all the time and hadn't played in a while because I hear people talking about it, Pitt fans and West Virginia fans especially. But in looking up some stuff for this video, I didn't realize they played over 100 times. That's a lot. They've played, I think, 104, 105 times. They actually played almost 70 years in a row before the series was stopped 10, 12 years ago, whenever it was, when West Virginia left the Big East to join the Big 12, and then, of course, Pitt joined the ACC, and they just kind of quit playing. But they're back at it. This year, they've got a home-and-home scheduled. This year at Pitt, next year at West Virginia. And they already have another home-and-home scheduled for right after that. So they're trying to get back in the swing of things in terms of playing each other every single year. And I know Pitt and West Virginia fans especially are happy to see that. I feel like this is an underrated rivalry game. I mean, it's got a nickname, the Backyard Brawl. They've played over 100 times. They're close geographically. Their fans hate each other. It's a pretty intense rivalry between Pitt and West Virginia, and I feel like the rest of the college football world, myself included, kind of underestimates it. You know, maybe because it's not very often that either Pitt or West Virginia are really in the national conversation in college football in terms of either conference titles or especially national titles, at least in the last 30 or 40 years. Pitt did have a really good run in the late 70s and early 80s. And, of course, Pitt was good last year. They won the ACC last year for the first time in a while. They had 11 wins last year. West Virginia, they've struggled lately. I think they have 2 losing seasons in their last 3 years or something like that. 6 and 7, I think. What were they last year? 6 and 7? Then I think they were 6 and 4 during the COVID year, 2020. But I think they had a losing record again in 2019. They've really struggled the last 2-3 years, really since getting rid of Dana Holgorsen. I know West Virginia fans were kind of tired of him, but man, you were more successful with Dana Holgorsen than you've been since you got rid of him. And where's Dana Holgorsen at now? Isn't he at Houston now? They're better than you. That has to hurt. If you're West Virginia, that has to hurt. You ran Dana Holgorsen out of town on the first thing smoking, ran him out on a rail. He goes to Houston, and Houston is better than West Virginia. Houston's going to be ranked in every preseason poll. Houston's probably or might be the best group of 5 team in America next year. West Virginia's really been struggling. They can turn things around this year, though, in week 1 with a big win on the road at Pitt. Can they do it? I don't know. Pitt leads the all-time series something like 60-something to 40-something in that general area there. But West Virginia actually won the last 3 meetings between these two teams before they stopped playing when each team joined West Virginia to the Big 12, Pitt to the ACC. It'll be an interesting game. Pitt's got a tough schedule to start out. They host West Virginia in week 1, and then they host Tennessee in week 2. That's a tough way to start your season. You don't see very many teams start their season off with 2 non-con Power 5 opponents in a row. But that's what Pitt's doing. Now, the upside, they get them both at home. Of course, they played Tennessee last year. So for Pitt, this is the back end of a home-and-home series between Pitt and Tennessee. Pitt got a win down in Rocky Top last year. Tennessee makes the trip up to Pitt this year in week 2, right? Week 2 to take on Pitt. That'll be a good game. But this is West Virginia. Did I already do a game? I think I already did Pitt and Tennessee. It's Pitt and West Virginia. But anyway, Pitt, West Virginia, week 1. It'll be a good game. It'll be a good, if I had to pick a winner now, I'd probably go with Pitt. I mean, yeah, they lose Kenny Pickett, and he was a big part of their success last year. So you think, well, they're kind of starting over at the quarterback position, and technically they are. But they're bringing in a guy with a lot of experience in Keaton Slovis from Southern Cal. I mean, he's basically been a 3-year starter out there at Southern Cal. He's decided to leave when Lincoln Riley coming in. They're going a different direction offensively, and obviously with the addition of Caleb Williams to Southern Cal, there was no room for Keaton Slovis out there. So he transfers into Pitt. How successful will he be? I don't know. but he does give Pitt at least a lot of starting experience at the quarterback position. So you're not totally starting from scratch with a guy that, maybe a freshman or even a sophomore or junior who's never started a game or whatever. You're getting a guy with a ton of starts under his belt here in Keaton Slovis, and you get the game at home against West Virginia to kick things off. So Pitt will probably be favored. And like I said, West Virginia has really struggled the last 2 or 3 years, 2 losing records out of the last 3. I don't have a rooting interest in this game. I mean, I won't necessarily be pulling or rooting for one team or the other, but I will watch it. It's a bitter rivalry, and like I said, I feel like it's a little bit underrated. Probably because, well, here's a good example, right? I hear people talk all the time about Texas and Texas A&M. Oh, man, they used to play every year. It was a great rivalry. And, now they don't play anymore. I wish they would start scheduling that series again. You hear that talk all the time about Texas and Texas A&M. You never really hear that about Pitt and West Virginia, except for Pitt and West Virginia fans. It is an underrated rivalry. So, I don't know. We'll see. Can they get it rekindled? How interested are you, if at all, in Pitt, West Virginia? I mean, be honest and let me know. I know a lot of you are probably going to say not all that interested. Is there another rivalry in college football that you would compare Pitt and West Virginia to? They've played over 100 times. They're close geographically. I don't know. I'd have to think. It's not on the level of an Alabama-Auburn, a Georgia-Florida, a Texas-Oklahoma, Southern Cal, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan. No offense to Pitt or West Virginia fans. It's clearly not on that level. But maybe if you look at some teams' sort of secondary rivals, it maybe comes close to that. Maybe like a Georgia-Auburn. It's probably not Alabama LSU. Maybe Florida LSU, something like that. Shoot. I don't know. You guys let me know if there's anything you think compares to the Pitt and West Virginia rivalry. But yeah, the Backyard Brawl getting back underway in 2022. Good to see these two teams schedule a home and home. And thank you for scheduling a home and home, by the way. You know how Uncle Lou feels. I'm an idiot. I actually think college football games should be played on college campuses. So congratulations for doing a home and home and not some meaningless, pointless, neutral site rigmarole.